No. But I'd like you to mention Thursday, Friday up in Charleston, South Carolina. Mark Johnston's his son passed away.
Oh no.
His oldest son.
Oh.
He passed away on January 1st.
I know, I remember.
Well, his son now. 2 tours in Iraq.
Is it Johnson or Johnston?
Johnston. Mark Allen Johnston.
Stepson. So Mark Allen. How old is he? Okay.
What better way?
You're a Met.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Mitchell? Here. Vice Mayor Best?
Present.
Councilwoman Bravo? Here. Councilman Fahet?
Here.
Councilman Vasquez? Here. There's a quorum present.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to our City Council meeting today. And please stand right now for the invocation. Our Heavenly Father, I ask you to watch over our meeting here tonight, to guide us, to give us tolerance, patience, and wisdom as we make decisions for the betterment of our beloved city. Amen. And I'd like to also give our condolences and express our sadness at the passing of Mark Allen Johnston, who is the son of Mark Johnston, a very beloved member of our community who passed away. Mark Johnston, the father, passed away in January earlier this year, and his son recently passed away in Tampa. So our condolences and our sympathies for their family. Also, I'd like to introduce, let's end that with the invocation. Please all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, great. Nice to have everyone here. I do want to introduce our city attorney, Jose Arango, who is with us. He is one of the city attorneys of our firm, our city's legal firm, Weiss Sirota. So welcome, Jose. We're very glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move along to awards and presentations. We have none. Open forum. There's no one signed up to speak at open forum. Is that correct, Jessica?
Erica.
Erica.
Been in New York too long.
Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Is
No, no one signed
anyone
up.
virtually waiting to speak
No.
either? Okay, thank you. Okay, so agenda item 6, approval of council minutes for August 16th and August 23rd, which is the regular meeting, and August 16th was the budget workshop.
Through the chair, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for 6A and 6B. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo?
Yes.
Councilman Fahet?
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez?
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell?
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. Reports from boards and commissions, we have none. Public
Madam Chair,
hearing.
through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I believe it was you who mentioned maybe a couple of meetings back that one, we would make an effort to have boards present and that we would try for September. I don't know, was this meeting or next meeting? I just want to remind everyone.
Yes, and I think, Eric, if you could go ahead and give an update on that, then, thank you, Councilman Vasquez.
Yes, we have 2 boards that will be reporting on September 27th, which would be Parks and Parkways and Ecology Board. The other ones are being set up as we meet.
So they'll be on the agenda for
Thank
the
you.
next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Vasquez, for bringing that up.
Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item is number 8, public hearings, a resolution.
This is a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting the proposed millage rate for the fiscal year 21-22 in the amount of 7.2760 mils, which is 0.92% higher than the rollback rate of 7.2095 mils, to balance the general fund budget for fiscal year 21-22 and providing for an effective date. Before we go into this one, Mayor, I would like to read a memo that I put in your packet for tonight. During the budget workshop, staff discussed with council on a proposal to provide tuition reimbursement to the general employees of the city. After research of entities and what they offer, we have come up with a first-year proposal for consideration by council tonight. For fiscal year 21-22, we can budget $30,000 towards this program, and the annual funding amounts can be revisited each budget year. This program will be on a first-come, first-served basis until the total funding is exhausted, and each employee will be limited to $2,500 in annual reimbursement. The city would offer its permanent, full-time employees who apply for and are approved a partial tuition reimbursement for college courses. Courses must be from an accredited public or private academic institution directly related to an employee's particular job, position, or assignment, and taken for academic credit toward a degree or certificate program. The reimbursement is conditioned upon achieving a grade of C or better or equivalent, and is limited, as I said before, to $2,500 per employee annually. Tuition reimbursement will be limited to tuition costs. The reimbursement will exclude scholarships, grants, employee discounts, and the like. Reimbursement will not cover instructional materials such as books, software, etc., application fees, testing fees, audit fees, parking fees, meals, and similar expenses. Any employee who receives a tuition reimbursement shall remain employed by the city for a minimum of 12 months from the date of completion of any college course for which the city has provided the employee a reimbursement. If the employee voluntarily leaves the employment of the city prior to the expiration of this time period, the employee shall repay the city all college tuition reimbursement received in the prior 12 months. The program, again, is contingent on annual funding availability. Since this program is currently not in the fiscal year 21-22 budget, we would need to adjust our millage rate in order to balance the budget. At the rate of 7.2760, the budget is currently balanced. At the rollback rate of 7.2095, the deficit would be $84,496, and if we add this tuition program, the deficit would increase to $114,496. At the rate of 7.3000, the budget would be balanced and include the tuition program. The following prepared a table for you which shows the decrease in city property taxes to the average homesteaded taxable property at various millage rates if we add the tuition program. And you can see a list, as I mentioned, at the rollback rate, the deficit will be about $115,000. At 7.2760, the deficit will be $30,000. And at 7.3, the budget will be balanced. The deficits noted above can be covered with reserves, since we project that year-end reserves will be about $150,000 over the required 25% guideline. However, we will not have any excess surplus to work with next year in case of unforeseen costs. And this may require us to go into minimum reserve requirements if we need to. So I leave it to council as to how we should proceed.
Vice Mayor Best?
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to applaud the HR Director, Bill Collins, for coming up with this plan, or this overture to the employees of the city of Miami Springs. I think this is a very plus program for the city, if you will. I know that I had gone kind of low early, and my thought coming in here tonight was to try to achieve the rollback rate. Based on Mr. Collins' initiative and what the city manager just stated to all of us, I'd like to make a motion that we move the 2021 budget millage rate to 7.30. Which would be a balanced budget, inclusive of Mr. Collins' initiative for the tuition reimbursement.
Okay, I have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
To the chair?
Yes,
With
discussion?
Discuss.
I love the initiative, absolutely. As far as the letter grade, I know you guys did your homework to see if that's, the standard out there. I would like to see that maybe possibly of a letter B. I mean, a C is kind of a little bit mediocre to me. But anyways, I would suggest that we can entertain this maybe for the following budget fiscal year, because we didn't really plan for this expense at this time. So where I stand, I really wanted to see us fall through at the 7.276. I like the program. if we were just trying to work on a break right now, it would be not the time to do this.
William, at the rate of, if we continue with the rate of 7.276, what would be the deficit with and without the tuition reimbursement program?
Without the tuition reimbursement?
104
Without the tuition and then with it?
30 and then
With it, it's
Balance.
114,000.
Deficit.
it would be 30,000, right? Deficit
30,000.
with
At
and balanced without.
7.276, it will be balanced.
Balanced,
without
and
the
then-
tuition
Without.
Reimbursement.
And
Without.
then it would be a deficit of 30,000 with the tuition reimbursement.
Right.
Councilman Fahet, did you have something? to say?
Yes. So when we had our last budget workshop, we talked about getting the numbers, and I appreciate city manager giving us the numbers. We have a guideline of 25% of reserves, and we knew that we were there was a number above and beyond the reserves that we have. We have 150,000 in reserves. I'm in favor of this tuition reimbursement project because I think it will help us to recruit and retain good people that are motivated, and we know that we have a pipeline within the city where we get good people and we put them into valuable roles within the city. I think that 7.3 isn't enough a reduction of the millage rate, and I would favor the rollback rate of 7.20 and including the program, and that would be 115. That would still leave us, $35,000 over the 25% of reserves that we have. The reserves are in case of, a rainy day and you need it, and we will have it, and we'll even still be over by $35,000. So I feel like we can have this good program, and we could still lower the millage rate to the rollback rate. So I would be in favor of 7.2095.
I'll second that.
Okay, well, wait, we have a motion. We
Oh,
can't
that's
second.
correct, that's
And a
correct.
Okay, so, Councilman Behet, you're saying, what are you, 7.2?
The rollback rate, setting the millage rate at the rollback rate of 7.2095, including the tuition reimbursement, so that there would be 115,000 in deficit that would be covered out of the $150,000 overage that we have on the 25% reserves, which would leave us with about roughly $35,000. We'd lower the millage rate. It's good for the residents. It's good for the city because we get this program. We still have an overage on our reserves, and I feel like it's a win-win.
Okay.
Before you call a vote, Mayor, if I might.
No, and we'll have more discussion. Yes, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Fayette, I appreciate your thoughts. And you and I are on the same page as far as when I walked in here, or what I said at the last meeting, I should say, more accurately. But I think 35 grand is a little too lean in reserve. I like the 7.3 for that reason, and it still would reduce. And remember, we reduce the millage rate. A lot of this is all artificial, in a way, if you think about it. It's artificial. The tenths of a millage that we drop. It sends a message to the people. But again, what these people are paying, what the citizens of Miami Springs are paying out of their pockets in taxes from the city of Miami Springs is minuscule compared to what we're paying in county and school board taxes. So I think we would leave ourselves ill-advised in leaving us with only $35,000. And that includes what you mentioned with the deficit plus the 150, as William mentioned, So I think to go to 7.3 and leave it there, and still a reduction, but it leaves us a heck of a lot more in reserve than $35,000.
Can I ask a question of the city manager? Because the 35,000 would be the overage, right? Or with, at the 25% guideline, what does that give us in
I
reserves?
have about $150,000. Now,
But the 150 is overage
over
of the 25%. What does the 25% represent? It's 25% of,
It's 25% of the budgeted expenses.
which is, what does that come out
It's about
to?
4.8 million.
So we have $4.7 million in reserves. So we're talking about $35,000 on top of 4.7 million in reserves.
Let's leave the 4.7 alone. Let's talk about
Right, yeah,
what we're
we're not-
talking about now.
Touching that, right, yeah, but I'm just saying, we're not leaving 35,000 in reserves, we have 4.7 million in reserves, we're talking about that there's $150,000 over the 25% that creates that 4.7 million in reserves,
I
so,
believe that the 25% is what's considered healthy
right,
for a city, right,
Right.
William? And
Correct.
I do want to mention that years ago, and this was probably 10 years ago, I don't think William was here. I remember sitting
Yes, he was.
here in the audience and the city council trying to get up to the 25% because they had let it fall and fall and fall.
Yep.
And we weren't in a healthy position. And they were saying, we need to raise taxes to get back up to meet. So that's the dilemma, that we want to lower taxes as much as possible, but we don't want to lower taxes, or at least I would not like to lower taxes so that next year we have to raise them. I would like, I would like to always keep lowering taxes, or at least at worst stay the same. But that one year we go a little lower and then the next year we have to raise it. What kind of message are we sending? What are we doing for our community? The goal should be just continually pushing down. The other thing is with the tuition reimbursement program, I think it's a really important program. 30,000 is not a great deal. We have some really great employees, and assisting them to further their education. It's very difficult sometimes, when you want to take, especially college courses, they're very expensive, and to find the time. But if we have that assistance to them available, it kind of gives them the encouragement to do it. We're better off because we have better employees. They're learning more, even being in, well, right now it's hard to say with the pandemic, but, being around other students that are in the same subjects, interested in the same subjects and in the same fields, they're gaining contacts, they're networking, they're learning information, particularly in the public sector. That's definitely something that happens. So I think it's a small amount for us to put in to invest in our city, and we should always be investing in getting better. We should never be at a point where we're just static and, we're just holding on and trying to keep things the way they are. We always need to, try to make our city a little better for future councils and future residents, that what we pass off is a better system. So did you have something else you wanted to say, Councilman
Can I
Fahad?
just ask a question? So, and my understanding, and I could be wrong, so just to get it out there. So we have, I believe the council voted to go from 15% to 25% for, and I know that from the budget workshop, William was saying that, we're also, we have a flood area and, we live where there's hurricanes. So even though kind of nationally, they say 15,000 is a good amount of reserves to have, we went ahead and as a council, we voted to have 25% be our number, and that's a lot healthier. So that 25%, my understanding is that there's a rule that if we go below that 25%, we have 2 years to get it back. But that's not what we're proposing here. We're not proposing dipping into, going below 25%. We have an overage of that 25%, and then we're proposing that we take some of that, and we're still going to have an overage to the 25%. So it's not. And unless I'm wrong, but it's not like we're borrowing now and then we're going to have to pay it back later because we're lowering it, and then we have to put it back in. We have an overage in those reserves, and so that's again that's my point. If we have that overage, I'd like to be able to, and even though the residents only pay about 30% of their total tax bill comes from the city. We have the highest, among the highest millage rates in the county, and they're at 7.33 right now. And to our credit, we lowered it. It was 7.35 the year before that. It's at 7.33 this year, but these are tough times. And I think that just going from 7.33 to 7.3,
I think we can do a little better. And so, I feel like going to the rollback rate, inclusive of this program, I think that we'd still be over the 25%, we'd still have the full reserves, we'd still be in a healthy place, we don't have to pay anything back there, and I think we would be doing what's right for residents who are in need.
Through the chair.
Yes,
Councilman Verhad, to your point, if we were to reduce to the rollback rate from 7.3, which, by the way, 7.3 represents a reduction in the millage rate, correct? Am I right?
Yes.
We would be saving citizens $8 a year. I've done the arithmetic. To your point, $8.
At 7.3, you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion?
No, just wanted to be clear that the 7.3 includes the tuition reimbursement program. Also, I want to add that if approving this, if we approve it over, as part of this process, it's going to take a little bit of time for employees to hear about this, think about it, actually use it early as possible, spring semester, and that's a guess, because folks have to, look at programs, look at what's available. So I
And
think
that's a good point,
I think that's to be a part of
Councilman,
the
that-
discussion for next year as well.
If it's not used, it's not
Right,
used,
right.
but, and also it helps us retain the employees that we have. I know since I've been on the council, we've lost some employees that have gone on to other cities. Most of the cities do offer the tuition reimbursement.
And to the chair, as the manager mentioned, there are disclaimers to this. There's control on it. He mentioned the controls. If they drop out, this,
We
that,
don't pay
this,
until they
that.
finish the course. We're not paying for them to.
I think the city is, I think we have ourselves covered on that.
Okay, so as far as the millage rate, Vice Mayor, do you want to amend would you like to amend given what you just mentioned with what the savings is to the residents, do you want to amend your motion?
I do not. I'd like to go at 7.3, inclusive of the tuition reimbursement program. May I have a second, Mayor?
Okay. All right, any more discussion?
No, ma'am.
All right, call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
No.
Councilman Fahet,
No.
Councilman Vasquez,
Aye.
Mayor Mitchell.
I'm going to vote no. I think we can go just a little lower on this.
The motion fails.
Do you have a motion, Mayor? I'd like to put a motion. Okay, so I move that we set the millage rate at the rollback rate of 7.2095. That will be inclusive of the tuition reimbursement, and then that deficit would be covered by a portion of the overage that we have on the reserves, and we would stay at a healthy reserve of 25,000 plus some extra money there as well.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? William, could you tell us, as our city manager and our finance director, your thoughts on that? At this level with this deficit?
Honestly, I don't have a problem with going with the rollback rate. Just as a point of reference, in this year's budget that we passed last year, we used approximately 182,000 of reserves to balance the budget because of the COVID situation that we had. But I think we have a healthy reserve. I think the $150,000 number is very conservative. My feeling is that we'll probably be a little over that, but I want it to be conservative just for this purpose. But whichever way, I don't have a problem with going the rollback rate and giving the residents, I think it'll be the first time since I've been here, well, maybe one time before, where we actually went rollback rate, and that was the year where we used the water and sewer money to give a one-time reduction. But other than that, I don't think we've ever done it, other than that one time, and that was because of the water and sewer.
Are we able to do this now because of the ARPA funds also is helping us in this?
I'm not sure this
No.
has anything to do with that.
Nothing at all, so that's not,
It's only,
it's not coming into play
You
here.
can't use that to lower taxes.
okay.
Correct.
And as far as for next year, if we were to lower down to the rollback rate, do you, and I know I'm asking you to look into a crystal ball, but do you foresee that we'd have to increase taxes to go up in the millage rate next year at this rate?
See, this year we had a double whammy because of the problem we had with the hotel assessments going down so much. I think next year they'll start going back up as they're going into doing business. So it's hard to tell for next year what we're going to do, but I don't foresee having to raise taxes that much next year.
But there's a possibility.
Oh, of course.
There's a possibility.
It all depends on when we go through the workshops, how much the departments need and what council wants to work on. But we have so many projects going on right now that we're going to be very busy in the next year
Sure.
with everything that's going on. And plus the addition of the grant writer that we're getting in, we're probably going to get a lot of grant money start coming in. So
Potentially.
Any other discussion on this?
I think we're making a mistake.
Any other discussion? Councilman Fahet, based on what William said, are you interested in amending
Nope, the
yours?
motion-
Or are you
motion
keeping your
stands.
motion? All right, call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best,
Nay.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
No.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
now let me read the resolution as revised. There's a resolution, and there'll be two changes, Jose. There's a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting the proposed millage rate for fiscal year 2021-2022 in the amount of 7.2095 mils, which is the same as the rollback rate of 7.2095 mils to balance the general fund for fiscal year 21-22 and providing for an effective date. And on section 2 of the resolution, it would read, city establishes a proposed millage rate of 7.2095 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value within the city of Miami Springs, which is the same as the rollback rate of 7.2095 mils per $1,000 of assessed property value. Those are the only two changes.
Mayor, through the chair,
Sir.
I'd like to thank HR Director Bill Collins for coming up with that program. I think that's a major asset to the city and to all of its employees. Thank you, Bill.
Big thing. A lot of interest. We have all the departments, and I can tell you that we were shocked as well.
Can you come up to the microphone?
I mean, that'll take care of 12 people. At $2,500 a year, 12 people can get tuition reimbursement. That's big. That's really good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill Collins, HR Director. I just want to say thank you very much on behalf of the employees. And we were rather surprised as to how many departments indicated that their employees would like to participate in this program. We have a lot of interest out there, and so this fulfills a very important need. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you,
again.
Bill.
Thanks again, Mr. Director.
Thank you, Bill. I know you've been working on this for a while, so it's nice to see it come to reality. Okay.
Mayor,
We need
Yes,
to
sir.
go on the resolution.
Oh, all right,
oh, the
yes,
second one, yeah. B.
on B. Do I have a motion?
On 8A, the resolution, we need to,
We voted on 8A.
the one I just read, changing the, to the
Oh.
rollback rate.
Rollback.
Thank you.
Changing and then adopting.
Okay, so we are voting on, can you say it again, William? The resolution.
The resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting the proposed millage rate for fiscal year 21-22 in the amount of 7.2095 mils, which is the same as the rollback rate of 7.2095 mils, to balance the general fund for fiscal year 21-22 and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Did we not just vote on this?
Voted on.
On the millage rate,
Now we're voting on the.
Okay.
on the resolution. I second the motion.
All right, any discussion? Call the vote, please, Erica.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Yes. Okay, next agenda item is, now we're on 8B.
Yes.
B,
that
there's a
correct?
resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting a tentative budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021, and ending September 30th, 2022, confirming date of second public hearing and providing for an effective date. This is confirming that the second hearing will be on Monday, September 27th, 2021, at 7 p.m. The only change on this is in the exhibit. The general fund budget is now $19,502,403. Revenues and reserves, expense appropriation and reserves of the same amount, $19,502,403. It's $19,502,402. Special revenue funds, revenues and reserves, $2,866,640. Expense appropriation and reserves is of the same amount, $2,866,640. Enterprise funds, $2,945,498. Expense appropriation and reserves, $2,945,498. Debt service fund, $1,684,256. Expense appropriation and reserves, $1,684,256. Total budget, revenues and reserves, $26,998,796. Expense appropriation and reserves, $26,998,796.
Correct.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
motion to approve?
I'll
Second,
second that.
any discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you.
Through the chair, I'd like to thank my colleagues for discussion on that, on these. I made my position known, and I'll go with the group on this. We're good.
I know you're the most frugal of us all, always.
Oh, I
Vice Mayor,
just
as
felt,
the-
Mayor, I just felt that we need to leave ourselves a little better capacitated than we just did. But I'm fine. I'm good.
Thank you.
We're good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mayor.
Councilman Fahet.
I agree with the
you.
Vice Mayor, and I'm very happy that we've been able to approve this tuition program
Yep.
for the employees of the city. Congratulations, Bill.
Okay, agenda item 9, we have a consent agenda item, just one item on it.
Going to read that?
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Tammy. Thank you for allowing me to attend by Zoom. I'm just getting back from visiting my daughter in Kansas, so I had a nice long weekend with her, so thank you. This is a recommendation by the Public Works Department that council approve an increase in the amount of $15,000 to the city's current open purchase order with Sunbelt Hydraulics, utilizing Miami-Dade County under contract FB-00399, which is attached, for an overall amount not to exceed $65,000 for parts and repairs on trucks for the remainder of this fiscal year, as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 2021 budget pursuant to section 3111 E5 of the city code.
Is there a motion to?
Motion to move, Mayor.
Okay,
Second.
Second, any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under 10, agenda item 10, old business, we have none. New business, agenda item number 11.
This is a
11A.
resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, approving the South Florida Financial Crime Strike Force Voluntary Cooperation Mutual Aid Agreement with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date. This is an item brought forward by the Chief Guzman, and he's here if you have any questions.
Chief, this is something we do every year. It's a mutual aid agreement
Yes,
that we
yes.
renew every year.
Just a renewal.
Can you, for the sake of the new council members, explain what it is?
Basically, we have a detective assigned to that strike force. He's been assigned there since 2016. And originally, when the strike force was initiated, it focused mainly on narcotics, money laundering. But narcotics trafficker and money launderers changed their ways quite a bit, and that was starting to diminish. So we retasked the strike force. Matter of fact, I just came off of being the chairman of the steering committee, and what we look at now is all crimes. All crimes involve money, profits. So we've worked on cases involving gold smuggling. We've worked on cases involving foreign corruption and things of that nature. So anything that is laundered through Miami, and also with this strike force, our officer is also designated as a Homeland Security investigator and certified as one of the few Homeland Security undercover officers. So we're one of many agencies that participate, and whatever cases we resolve or we participate in, whether he's the lead investigator or assisting in that investigation, whatever forfeit or monies are seized or properties are seized and then turns into money, we get a cut of that, and it goes back into our law enforcement trust fund.
Through the chair, Chief Guzman, how does this differ from the LATF?
No, well, this is what actually goes into LATF. It's
Okay.
seized monies.
Oh, this
This
is,
is what goes into it. Whatever
you,
is
sir.
seized, and we go through the process, goes into the LATF fund.
you answered my question.
Is this the same task force that was responsible for the hotel closing?
I'm sorry, sir?
Is this the same task force that was used for the hotel closing?
No, the task force that was used for the hotel closing was the Human Trafficking Task Force,
Right.
which we are a part of also with Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. I'm sorry. Keep forgetting.
Thanks, Chief.
Any other questions?
Through the chair, motion to move the item.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Just,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, just two
Councilman
things I
Vasquez.
wanted to say. Congratulations to the chief on the recent bust and the importance of cameras in the city. So congratulations on that. And I know we spoke on Saturday morning, but you have some good news about some officers that have been afflicted by COVID, and they're doing better.
Yes, everybody's back to work, thank God.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and if I may, talking about confiscations and seizures, it's not just the task force that does this. Last Friday, one of our officers on a routine traffic stop made an arrest of trafficking. We recovered 45 pounds of marijuana and about $30,000 in cash, which we are going through the process of seizing that money.
And that was a traffic stop for window tints, right?
Illegal window tints and an obstruction of a license tag.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you,
Great work.
Chief, and thank you for your staff for
Yep.
everything they do to keep our community safe.
Thank you.
No, it's a very,
Before we go on, we were so excited that we forgot the
yes,
public
the
hearing.
public hearing. All right, so let's
Okay, well,
open
we
it
can-
up for,
Let's go to 8A first.
Should we vote on?
We should.
Should we vote first
let's
before
do-
we go back to the
Yeah, let's
public
do
hearing?
this.
Hold the motion?
Or do we hold the motion?
You have, you
motion and a
have,
second.
you have a motion
we
and a
have a motion
second.
and a second. Let's go ahead and take that vote.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Vice Mayor Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Fahed,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
Motion
thank you. Okay, we're going to go back a minute to hold the public hearing for agenda item 8A. which is our millage rate.
Let me read the resolution, and then we'll call a public hearing. The resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting the proposed millage rate for fiscal year 21-22 in the amount of 7.2095 mils, which is the same as a rollback rate of 7.2095 mils, to balance the general fund for fiscal year 21-22 and providing for an effective date.
This opens the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak, even if you haven't signed up, if you want to come up and speak during the public hearing? Erica, is there anyone virtually? Okay, that ends the public hearing for agenda item 8A. And now,
They don't have to vote again. Right?
No.
Okay.
Do we need to,
8B,
Jose?
there's a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, adopting a tentative budget for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021, and ending September 30th, 2022, confirming date of second public hearing and providing for an effective date. Again, the second public hearing is Monday, September 27th at 7 p.m.
okay, I'm opening the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this item? You can come up and speak, even if you haven't signed up. Still no one virtually, Erica? Okay, that ends the public hearing. Thank you.
Mayor, thanks for recognizing that.
Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item, 11B.
A.
B.
A B, sorry.
We voted on it.
There's a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, accepting a state appropriation of $1.5 million, approving a state-funded grant agreement with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection relating to the East Drive Stormwater and Roadway Improvement Project, providing for authorization, providing for an effective date. You've already approved the $1 million one for the Royal Poinciana from FDOT. This is the second part of the state appropriation.
Through the chair, motion to move 11B.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I just want to clarify that this is appropriation from the state, money that we're receiving from the state that we're approving to use it.
Correct.
Which is, we're very grateful to our state legislators, Representative Brian Avila and our Senator Manny Diaz Jr., who obtained these appropriations for us, and also to our hardworking Becker Polikoff team, Jose Fuentes and his group that helped in Tallahassee to push this along for us for several years. Okay, no discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Best.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Fahet.
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Delighted to say yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Agenda item 12, other business, a report from Councilman Vasquez.
Sorry, Mayor, I got to write things down before I
Okay.
forget.
This
It
is on
doesn't
a
have anything to
meeting
do- Nothing to do with this
that you
point, but I
attended
just
last week, right?
Write it down or it's out of mind, it's gone. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you know, all of you know, I attended the meeting of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities on September 8th, along with the city manager. And the purpose of that meeting was to was really a meeting with Commissioner Oliver Gilbert based on the RTZ zone project that he has, that he spoke about here a couple of weeks ago. And William has shared some notes with you, with us, and which captures the essence of this. So what we have is the following. Number one, it was very interesting to meet mayors from around the county and other city managers and a couple of city commissioners. Commissioner Gilbert is going to move forward with this project. That's very clear. His intention is that if we don't, as he said here the other time he came, with regards to rapid transit, if we don't plan to succeed, we're going to fail because of the growth of the population and the need for this type of expansion, essentially in the area of density around the areas where the train stations currently exist. He got quite a bit of pushback, as was expected, as happened here. His point being is that really we need to look at density, increasing density to increase ridership. In other words, we can expand, and I'll let William add in a minute, we can expand or really put rapid transit in the level where it should be in terms of a metropolitan area like ours if we don't increase the ridership. And we don't increase the ridership unless we increase the density around the rail, which would promote the idea of ridership. And it's very difficult to engage the federal government, no matter who's in administration, to get additional funds to support rapid transit. This is like a kind of a circuitous thing here. The second point that I want to make about this, again, my first time at one of those meetings, and also supported by comments made by mayors and other members of other cities that were there, is that as Commissioner Gilbert mentioned, he could have gone directly to the commission with a bill, and it would have been marked up, and it would have been a couple of weeks and for a vote, et cetera, without a lot of the input, or the input being limited to the time frame of the legislation process of the commission. And so a lot of folks were appreciative that they could have this conversation. But there's a lot of concern about how to go about increasing density, right? And we were very clear about that increasing density for Miami Springs and the designated areas, particularly the Birds area, where you have essentially single homes, meant quadruple or more the density to try to get the kind of density needed for, again, this is all theoretical, right? I appreciate his thoughts on this, but this is theoretical. The folks that would travel and use the rapid transit system. And so, third point is that from the perspective of the commissioner, he needs assurances from the different cities that that there would be a certainty in the process, in this discussion, that as cities and towns buy into the process, that there would be a certainty and commitment to the issues of density and et cetera, so that the county wouldn't have to face a different city council or city commission and push back at a later date. Very interesting conversation. It's just that I don't see how this is going to happen, but never say never when you talk about politics. As the mayor pointed out to us, Mayor Mitchell, the discussions of the maps that have been circulated, and we saw those here, still included, even though he himself mentioned Miami Springs, that Miami Springs, as he said, I think if I quoted him properly or someone quoted him, was kind of off the table. It's still there in the mock-up, and that's a concern. The Abraham track, again, is still there, but he himself recognized that because of the proximity to the airport, this may not be a good idea. But it's still there, and so we're waiting to see what the drafts, how the drafts change accordingly, because his time frame is September, October, right, to get it to the commission. Hopefully another meeting of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, right, to have more input on what would be the draft then, which we're all hoping it doesn't include Miami Springs, but That is still to be seen. So the short of it is that this is going to the county commission in some form over the next month to 6 weeks, you would say, William?
Maybe a little
Please
longer
fill
than
in.
Timeline was late September or October,
Okay.
but at the same time, he mentioned that the part about he wants cities to provide him how they can increase their own densities. And I'm not talking about, for example, one of the things he mentioned, he said he does not want to destroy or change single-family neighborhoods. And he specifically, again, mentioned the fact that Miami Springs and Bird section was off the map. He did that at this meeting also. So
I
that's
think
twice.
that's important to note that he mentioned it, he stated it publicly at our August
Yes,
9th city
right.
council meeting,
Yes.
and then,
And at this meeting.
and
of
at the September 8th League of Cities meeting, he mentioned
Right.
specifically Miami Springs, Bird section, and Abraham would not be
And if I
applicable.
may,
what he said, there are some
William,
cities
just
within that-
on that point,
Yeah.
there were, and I don't remember who they were because I met them there. I did make a note of it. Maybe one or two folks, cities that were being represented said, well, maybe we could think about density, but in a smaller scale or a smaller percentage. Pinecrest is almost like half the city is looking at the potential for increasing density according to the project. We don't have that luxury, and we said there's no way we can do that. I'm sorry, William, go ahead.
No.
Anything else?
And basically what he's saying is that this draft is still a work in process. It hasn't been finalized. He agreed at this meeting that once he's got something finalized, he's going to hold another meeting of the League of Cities to discuss it. But two things he mentioned Miami Springs again, and we know the Abraham tract, because of the airport restrictions, is out of it. So in our city, those two areas are basically should be off the map. At the same time, he also said he wanted, one of the things that concerned him was, let's say you have a city where currently they have, their zoning has a density of 20 dwelling units per acre. He says, what we want is a mechanism where the city can't change that in the future. If another council comes in 2 years and says, well, no, we want to go from 20 to 10. That's what he wants to avoid. Now, at the same time, even though he's saying he doesn't want cities to give up their zoning and land use, right? This is indirectly a way of doing that. So I don't know how the other cities are going to react to that.
Yeah.
But he did say he wanted cities to provide him with, what they can do to increase densities in those areas. And I'll leave that. I know the mayor's got something she said, because she prepared a letter to them already telling them what our position is. So let her speak to that.
To her credit, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just lastly, I mean, just this is going to sound facetious, but it's kind of like if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Right. So if you densify it, they will use the train. That's essentially what.
And there are areas in Miami-Dade County that are probably well suited for that. There's several areas, if you look at the whole, again, we're a tiny little piece of that corridor map that he's looking, and his proposal is just a very broad brush attempt at saying, across the board, everything that's in this corridor, and we're one tiny little piece of that, but we're a tiny little town, so that is devastating to us, any increase in that. But based on William, and I was out of town last week, so I couldn't attend that meeting, but based on what William filled me in and what he and Councilman Vasquez saw at the meeting and discussed at the meeting. And by the way, Councilman Vasquez, I heard that you impressed at the meeting when you talked about how you would like to use transit if it led to places that you could use, because you're from New York and you're a proponent, and I think that got a lot of points of saying you're a proponent of transit if it's accessible and available and realistic. And I think everyone feels like that. It's just
missing
yes
in this argument, right? That it's only talking about what exists And if it encapsulated the western parts of the county, maybe, you know, where density is
But
already.
nonetheless, our municipality can't, be part of this rapid transit zone ordinance. It just doesn't apply to it. It doesn't fit in. It's not suitable, and it would devastate us. So based on the information that William had told me from the meeting, where again, Commissioner Gilbert stated publicly that Miami Springs, the rapid transit zone would not apply to Miami Springs to the Bird section because he doesn't want to affect single-family residences, and to the Abraham Tract because of the airport requirements or limitations being near the airport. It wouldn't apply. I wanted to, and my understanding is that he asked the municipalities to send him information as to what they were willing to do. I felt like it's already clear we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
We've established that at
We shouldn't
August
respond
9th,
to that.
and now at this.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote this memo, this letter to the commissioner today. It was sent to him today, confirming that based on the August 9th meeting and his statements then, and again at the September 8th Miami-Dade League of Cities meeting, that Miami Springs, that we agree that Miami Springs cannot take part in the rapid transit zone and would be excluded from it. So there's, at this point, there's really nothing else for us to do. I've spoken with Commissioner Sosa about it. She's in agreement with it. She's transmitting this letter to him for me. William is going to talk with the planning person at the county to restate our position, which is basically we are not to be included in the rapid transit zone because of the nature of it's just not applicable to our city. So again, he has not proposed anything. I mean, he has not brought a proposed ordinance to the county commissioners. They're the ones that vote on it. And it's kind of unique in what he did with this. He went to the League of Cities in May and said, I'm going to pass this draft. I'd like your input on it. And so in June at a League of Cities meeting, we looked at the draft. It's a very, we put it in the agenda on August 9th. And as you can tell, anyone that's looked at it, it's full of lines scratched through it and stuff. It's a very rough draft. And that's the only thing we've had since when it was brought up at the League of Cities meeting in June. So my understanding is from the meeting that William and Councilman Vasquez attended, that he will eventually kind of rework that draft and present something differently to the commissioners. I feel pretty confident that Miami Springs will be left out of it, but we'll have to continue to monitor this with the assistance of our city attorneys. I want to thank our city attorneys for helping us on this. They've been monitoring it very closely and they've been involved in the meetings. And so the letter that we sent was just that we're confirming that we appreciate that he stated it twice at two different meetings that Miami Springs will not be included in the rapid transit zone.
You know what, through the chair, you know what really, I don't get this. How Pinecrest could even entertain this.
No, they're not. Pinecrest is not.
Well, it was mentioned earlier that they.
Yeah, well,
Stand the
no,
most to lose.
they are, Pinecrest, the mayor of Pinecrest is the president of the Miami-Dade League of Cities.
Yes.
So he's the one that kind of used these figures in June to hash out what it would mean to Pinecrest. And Pinecrest feels that, I don't know what they'll ultimately come up with, of what density they feel they can increase. Our position, again, is we can't increase any density. We have no room for that. We're single-family residences, so
Right.
there's no.
But light rail doesn't even permeate Pinecrest at the moment.
But it's
There's a
that
potentiality
corridor.
down the road. Right, the corridor.
Well, it's
Correct.
the busway. So it's even if Metro Rail doesn't go down there, that major busway from Miami Dade Land South
That would
that continues
include
to
it.
Homestead
That would
is
include
part
it.
of that
Yeah,
corridor. So
yeah.
all of that is considered the same as if it was a Metro Rail line,
Right.
and and applies that quarter mile and half mile radius densities apply to, in the proposal would apply to all of that.
Even though Pinecrest has more land available to do that than we do, it's still a city of rather high end.
The majority of cities, my understanding, are looking at this very closely and are going to be working on, what, if there's any possibilities of something that they can increase density on. But our position is we can't.
I think in all fairness, at the moment, he doesn't nearly have the votes on the county commission for this.
And again, and I
Unless he
wanna-
radically changes the approach.
But, I just want to mention again that for Commissioner Gilbert, that this was, it's a unique way of, he reached out to the municipalities through the League of Cities, not individually, but through the League of Cities first, which is something that normally is not done. Like Councilman Vasquez said, normally a commissioner proposes an ordinance, it goes in front of the commission, and we find out about it, and, we're trying to speak to them and let them know. And this was kind of, first, he let the League of Cities know that this was a proposal to discuss over the summer. And now he's asking for input to prepare the ordinance to give to the county commissioners, so.
Mayor, a hybrid approach. Right?
That's correct.
Remember how we found out about TGK expansion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ready to be voted on, exactly. TGK was an example of, it just going through the commission and they're voting on it, and we find out, the day before.
Mayor,
Yes.
thank you for putting this letter together. I think that part of I don't besmirch the chairman for, for his ideas to try to plan to help. I mean, his intentions may be great, but I think the original draft proposal was a one size fit all. And I think that's what kind of drove the backlash that it's gotten. And I'm glad to hear that now he's asking municipalities to do exactly what you're proposing we do here, is give them the feedback. So I welcome this. I think this is the proper avenue. He's asking for our feedback and we're giving it to him directly. Can I just ask that we also CC the county planning director on here also, since that's what he said is to...
William is going to actually reach out to him, because he asked at the meeting that I guess you discuss it with the planning director. So William's going to reach out to him, and then he's going
Great.
to
Good
give him a
thought.
copy
Good thought,
of this.
Councilman
So,
Vasquez.
thank you. This is perfect.
Any other updates on this? Okay, we will continue to monitor it along with I know this last week I had some Zoom meetings with William and our city attorneys, on this, and we'll continue to monitor it and provide updates as we hear them. All right, thank you, Councilman Vasquez, for attending
Thank
that
you.
meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is, that's it. Okay,
13.
we're
13.
reports. Yes,
13, Mayor.
reports and recommendations from our esteemed city attorney, Jose Arango.
No business.
No business. Nice.
Okay, and city manager?
No, I just wanted to thank the council and Omar and the staff for that great ceremony Saturday for 9/11. I think it went really well. It was had some moving speeches there from Councilman Vasquez, and I mean Walter also said some words. Councilwoman Jackie Bravo and Bob Best, as usual, a good MC of the event. So I wanted to thank everyone involved. That was a beautiful ceremony. And I think, Tammy, you have some events you want to go over?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Let me see here. Give me 1 second.
She in Kansas?
I'm not. I'm actually, I just got home, but I flew in today, so I was visiting my daughter out there.
I got him here, Tammy.
Tammy Williams got him, if you don't.
Okay. Thank you, William. I
Right.
was trying to pull him up.
Tomorrow, September 14th, again, we have a vaccination site at the Aquatic Center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're giving the booster shots. They got Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. So take advantage of that. September 17th, the Lions Club will have a food drive at 9 a.m. until supplies last. September 19th, the Lions Club will have a barbecue and a blood drive from 12 to 7 p.m. September 20th, the One Blood drive at the community center from 10:30 to 5:30. And September 25th, board games at the community center from 12 to 2 p.m. And that's all I have.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the city manager for having the foresight to recognize the 20th anniversary of 9/11 and to set that program up. Hats off to you, sir. You were the one that originated that, and that was just, it was an honor to be there myself, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. The other thing is, Bill, again, I'd like to thank you for your initiative for the tuition reimbursement. I thought that made a whole lot of sense. I was in Charleston, South Carolina for a funeral here recently, Mark Johnston's son. I went with Tammy Key, the director of the senior center, for that. It was not a pleasant trip, but nonetheless. And there was something else, but I can't remember right now, so I will forego my time. Thank you, Mayor.
If you think about it, just let us know.
I will.
All right. Councilwoman Bravo?
Okay. I would like to thank Chief Guzman. He allowed me some of his time 2 weeks ago. I've requested to, do a walk through the police department, get to know a little bit more of their processes and procedures. I got to learn about beforehand something that came up on one of the agenda items. So I was glad to already had a little bit of background on that. So thank you for that. It was quite interesting. I took a picture in I think it was in the interrogation room. Man, it's really small. I never want to be in there again. Okay, so then you see the handcuffs there. It's like so movie-ish. But anyways, number 2, I wanted to thank the city manager, the recreation department, and the police department for coordinating such a heartfelt and necessary event for our community, recognizing the victims and angels of 9/11. I also want to thank the city Mayor Mitchell for composing this very important letter to Oliver Gilbert, showing our presence and our position as a city through the strength of our mayor is very important. Also, Bill, I didn't mean to discredit your program. I think it's amazing. I think you're amazing, but we're always just trying to wiggle everything in there and balance. And thank you to City Council. We've been able to make some good decisions on the dais today with a lower tax, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. You
Yes,
remembered?
I did think of something, Mayor. Thank you so much for acknowledging me. The American Legion, as some are aware, some might not be, we are in the process of putting together a 501c3 company to afford funding going forward to redo the War Memorial on Curtis Parkway. There are several people involved in this. A lot of it is pro bono, including attorneys and architects and material. And we're going to continue going forward with this, and with state funding and county funding, et cetera, and anybody else that wants to throw anything in. We'll be advertising this. I don't want to take the wind out of Councilman Vasquez's sails here, but I did want to mention that we were there today and we did open the account. It is official. We are an official company with SunBiz and EIN number and the IRS and all of that. So we're good to go. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I had one more thing.
Go ahead.
And if I don't say it, the witches
That's
of
all right, go
Westward are
ahead.
going to be very upset. So I don't know if you know, I just wanted to come and say it on the dais, and I know that we have viewers online. Our local women's club is having an event, a Halloween event called the Witches of Westward. It's going to be a very nice event for all ages. They are currently selling tickets online, so if you want to go ahead and visit the women's club's website, I'll see if we can get that. I think the information is already, there's a flyer that we've already posted online through our city website. And also when you have a chance, browse your social media pages and look them up. It's the Witches of Westward. And also please follow the Miami Springs Women's Club. Thank you.
right, thank you. Councilman Fahet.
Yep, so just Saturday I thought was a very moving event, and so thank you to city staff that put it on. Thank you, William, for putting that agenda together, and thank you to the members of the council for being the thought leaders that you guys are, and helping us to come together to make the best decisions for our city. Thank you.
Nice, Walt.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yeah, I have a few things I want to say. So, those of us who were here last week at the first meeting of the Business and Economic Development Task Force that we created, very happy to see them moving along, and how enthusiastic all the members were and all the information they requested. I believe city manager has provided all the copies of the materials that they asked for so that they get ready for their meeting next month. They're enthusiastic about looking comprehensively at the city and the business side and the economic development side to make recommendations to this council. And I was most struck by the idea that because they are supposed to prepare a report by September of next year with their comprehensive recommendations, that they in fact will, if they see things that they could recommend right away, could be done right away, that they would do so. So you all look forward to that, because they really want to make sure that they get the businesses involved in this process, as well as those folks who are involved in economic development. So very happy for that. On a sad note, on September 9th, I believe it was, at 1:45 in the morning, someone vandalized the mural that is on the east side of the building occupied by the United Teachers of Dade.
Yep.
And I have spoken out about vandalism, destruction of property, racist and other paraphernalia put on businesses and libraries. And I think that this was a despicable act that has no place, not only in Miami Springs, but nowhere. There has been some controversy about the mural. They were cited by code compliance, and that is all working through the process. And then someone posted last week before the incident that, they were concerned about whether the code compliance was taking place and whether there might be some politics going on in there. But they love the mural. And so, the individual was caught on film, but it's probably, sorry, the chief had to leave. It's probably very difficult to determine who it was. There's no place for vandalism. Disagreements are good. And we have all the mechanisms available to have different points of opinion. We have them right on this dais, and we do it with respect. And this institution is a member of Miami Springs, and the leader of the institution lives in Miami Springs, and there's no place for this time. So I wanted to say that publicly for the record, Madam Mayor and members of council. Mrs. Nunez was sitting in the back. I was hoping she would stay. On Saturday, I had a little bit of chance for doing some traveling within the city to look at the fences that have been put up on the east side of Miami Springs. So I went to see her and her neighbor, and boy, what a difference.
Really? It is.
What a difference.
It is, Vic. Yeah.
This is what a difference a day makes. What a difference that fence makes. It just felt differently. And they are looking forward, Laz, to the landscaping and things that are going to happen. But it's already made a difference in their life and their sense of security. So thank you for working on that so quickly, and they are very appreciative. Just to add something to the War Memorial issue, there is a nonprofit that the American Legion helped put together. We're going to be asking for donations. We've got a commitment from Representative Avila to include something in the next budget. So as we did some research about this, Miami Springs has been celebrating, commemorating, and remembering the war dead since at least 1945.
Yep.
And for us as a city to do something to enhance that memorial, and particularly in what's happened over the last couple of weeks with our withdrawal from Afghanistan and so forth, is a unique opportunity that very few cities, I might add, in the county do this. You probably count them on one hand, the cities that celebrate 4th of July, Memorial Day. And while I'm on that point, thank you, William, for the event of September 11th. And I think that because the day is now called Patriot Day, right? It's been called Patriot Day.
That's what they say.
We need to maybe each go an extra mile so that our residents support it as they have done. We get really good turnouts at Memorial Day and at Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to put Patriots Day right up there with that. I just wanted to mention, I'm sure you've noticed how fast the construction is going
Oh, yeah.
on the apartment building. I see it every day, and it's like one day it's just 24 hours. It was like amazing how well that's going. So looking forward to that coming online. And lastly, I just wanted to point out, so I'm going to embarrass him a little bit. My son is in the audience, but he's sitting here not as my son. He is a freshman at Miami-Dade College, Hialeah campus, and he's working on a project for an assignment for one of his classes, civic action engagement, which one of the options was to sit in on a legislative discussion. And so I said, hey, we got a meeting Monday night. That'd be a great place to come and see it and write about it. And so I'm glad that he's here. I think I covered everything.
And you did a good job covering everything.
All right. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure having your son here. I'm sure.
Did you want to get that picture with you?
Yes, I
Yes,
told
we'll
him.
do it at the end of the
Did you
meeting.
take a picture
We'll
of the dais?
Stay.
Okay.
And at the end of the meeting, if all the council could stay, so we can
Sure.
take a picture with Councilman Behet's son.
Vasquez.
Excuse me. I'm glad you can read my mind and know what I intend to say.
Ray, you've been in New York too long.
Telling you, it's a New York state of mind.
Yeah, New York state of mind.
You're funny.
Okay. Wow. I just wanted to say we really brought the tax rate down. And William, could you briefly explain the rollback rate? Because we brought it to the rollback rate, and then we're using that just so everyone's on the same page as to what that means.
The rollback rate basically means that we're going to bring in as much tax revenue this year as we did last year. So that means for the property owner, usually what happens, even if you have Save Our Homes, like this year, for example, your assessed values went up 1.4%. So if we were to keep our millage rate the same, you would still have a small tax increase because of the increase in your assessed values. What this does is it makes up for that difference. So you're going to pay this year the same amount that you paid last year for city taxes.
Right.
As Councilman Beth says, your tax bill, about 30% of us is the cities. So what we did tonight is that basically you'll be paying the same amount of taxes that you paid last year on the city side.
Now, that doesn't mean that the county or others can't increase, but.
School board, that's
right,
other-
or the school board, but, so I think
Could I
that's
ask a question
quite
on
an
that school
accomplishment,
board
yes.
funding? Because I got a question from one of the residents when I was telling them that about the, that the taxes that we pay, about 30% of it is for city, that this county is the larger amounts. And one of the things they asked me, well, so we're paying taxes for schools, right? But are we getting our fair share of that money for our schools in Miami Springs? I had no idea.
It's proportional.
Yeah, I know it's proportional, so.
Well, we're going to have the Educational Advisory Board report here, and that's a good question that we can ask for their input as to how they feel that,
That's a good point.
you know, how they feel about, are we getting our share? And I feel very strongly about that, Miami Springs, even though we're small, we're entitled to get our fair share of everything, just like every other municipality. You know, the ones that are out there asking for it and making sure they're getting it, we should be right there along with them. Our residents deserve no less. So anyway, so that's just really, I think that's a big accomplishment from all of us, from our city manager, assistant city manager, and all of the department directors who somehow put together the budget, making sure that the services that we want to provide for our residents are there, can be done, and that we're always improving, but we're lowering, keeping the tax rate down, and bringing it substantially down from last year, which is quite an accomplishment. So thank you to all of you for that. The other thing I wanted to mention is just, I continue to be amazed at our little city, how much we do for others, for other community, not just within our city, but for others. And a good example of that, and there's been so many that have been stated tonight, but the Haiti Relief Fund for the victims of the Haiti earthquake that I know William organized, and I think that was a member of one of our employees, her brother, right, was involved with that?
Ladies in finance, Mercedes Valero, her brother is in charge of Amor en Acción, which is an organization that works with the Archdiocese of Miami. And he works with Food for the Poor also. So he's the one that I contacted to set this up, yeah.
So for several weeks, our community center was a collection point for relief services. And you could tell by the list of items that they were asking, they were just so basic, cans of sardines, cans of Vienna sausages, baby items, blankets, gently used clothing, just very, just from looking at the list, you could tell that there were things that were really, really needed there. And our community did an awesome job of continually supplying that. I think that's ended, right, William? We're not collecting that.
Thursday.
Okay.
They picked up the last truck on Saturday morning.
How many trucks were there, William?
3 truckloads.
3.
Wow.
Okay, and the other thing I don't think we mentioned is on September 23rd is going to be the street naming for the Women's Club over here, that section of Park Avenue by the Women's Club, similar to what we've done for the Lions Club and all these other organizations that do so much for civic organizations that do so much for our community. That section of Park Avenue in front of the Women's Club is going to be renamed Women's Club, Miami Springs Women's Club Way on September 23rd at noon. So everyone's invited to that ceremony. And other than that, thank you all very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is, you get more lead in there.
Remember Friday? Friday did good. Welcome to attend. Okay.